presenter is Janelle Thompson. She is our literacy consultant here at Heartland AEA, and she's going to share with you some resources around STEM literacy.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? I'm trying to figure out where to put this where you can hear me and I don't run into it with my chin. So I am Janelle Thompson. I'm a literacy consultant. I have Region 8, so it's kind of Southeast Polk all the way out to Linville, Sully. But I'm glad she had all of them introduce themselves because I couldn't do my job if they weren't there to support me. So anytime I'm doing some literacy things, sending out an email to those folks and asking them, how can I tie in some technology? How can I make this easier? How can I make this more engaging? They're really great contacts to have, and by email anytime they're available and will answer you. That's what's great about the tech people is that you can always get a hold of them because they're very techy, right? So that's always nice. So I'm going to just go through some STEM things that we have done. Some of you I think might have been at the workshop we did on Friday if you were there. Anybody at that workshop Friday? A couple of you, yep. So it'll be some of the same resources. Thinking about moving that up, we did a K3 workshop on Friday. Marissa and I and a bunch of the consultants were there. We're going to do another one in March, so we'll talk about that a little bit today too. But we're going to talk about how we can move that up into the 3-5 grade levels. Okay, so lots of resources. You all have access to this presentation, yes? Yeah? Okay, so there's links on here that you can follow along with me if you'd like. So this first one is a link to some lessons that Ankeny teachers at Crocker, is that right, Marissa Elementary? Yeah. Crocker Elementary. Marissa worked with a gal from ISU, Sarah Nelson, and the teachers at Crocker, and they have built some of these STEM lessons. And they are very gracious in sharing that with us and you so that you can look through these and take them back to your buildings and try them out, tweak them, create new ones, whatever the case may be. But this is their sheet that collects all of them. So all the links are on here. Here's the title of the STEM lesson. They have the problem, so if you're looking for something specific. And then it has fiction and nonfiction text. So I love that they have both on here. Well, as we get into the 3-5 grades, we have to be comparing and contrasting things across text. So having both fiction and nonfiction automatically makes it a little bit higher order thinking, moves it up in the grade level because now I have to think about the fictional part, but also the nonfiction part and how those things go together. So think about all those standards where we have to do things across multiple texts. This is a great way to do that. So I know Marissa's done some of them, and she really likes, there's an ice cream one and curious candy.
And ice cream for ice cream is one I created.
Oh yeah, so where's that one at? Is it at the top? Ice cream for ice cream. Marissa made that one, if you want to know, right? So.
You cannot do anything with food. So doing an ice cream lesson with no food, it was fun.
Was interesting. We'll open this one. This one's curious candy. So they have the lesson prep, the materials needed, so all you need to know is what's up there. They have listed the NGSS standards only on here. Of course, since I'm the literacy consultant, my template has both the science standards and the literacy standards. Of course, if you're going to do a math and literacy lesson, you would want the math standards on here. So make sure that you're including all of those. The other piece that I want you to think about when you're talking about these standards is the 21st century skills. So there's lots about employability, there's working together. All of those standards really fit well with STEM as much as the rest. So think about how you can clue those in here. Some of our teachers don't even know there's 21st century standards, right? And we don't report out on them, we don't assess them, all that kind of things, but we're still supposed to be teaching them. So it's a good idea to put those in here as well. Also think about your speaking and listening standards. I always say every single lesson you do should have speaking and listening standard 1 in it. From kindergarten to college, you should be using speaking and listening standard 1, where kids are talking to each other. So that's another standard I want you to always be thinking about when you're putting these together. All right, so then it has the fiction text tied to the STEM concept, hands-on STEM experience. So they have the engage. I think this is the 5E lesson. Engage. They have then explore, explain, extend, and evaluate. So those are you think about building a lesson, those are the 5 E's we want to think about when we're building our STEM lesson. But they also have on this side, what are they going to do, how are they going to reflect, and how are they going to apply. This is another piece on this template that I really love is this parent letter. Having that homeschool connection over and over and over again has been proven to be a high leverage thing to be doing. Now, we know that lots of parents don't read the stuff we send home. They lose the emails. You have to tell them 10 times, but don't give up on it. Okay, that homeschool connection is very, very, very important. So having those letters, just letting them know what you're doing, they might have an interest in this. This might be the one thing that gets that parent involved with what you're doing in school. So always think about how you can do that homeschool connection. And then it has other resources on here. Some of the templates have extension activities, so if you want to go above and beyond, it has a section for how you can extend the activities for TAG students. I would also consider how you can accommodate maybe for some of your lower achieving students, how those things might be working. But Ankeny has given us this great resource. You can see down below, these are lessons that aren't completed yet, but these are ones they want to do. And they have initials here where a teacher has said, I will take care of building that lesson. So they're really thinking about how they can work smarter, not harder. And so they're each taking a lesson and then sharing it with everybody else. And at the bottom here, there is an email address for the gal. If you have questions or you want to know something further directly from the teachers that created this, her email address is right here. And you can certainly get a hold of her and pick her brain. Anything else about that you want to share? Or is that Marissa because she was in on the planning? Okay, so the next one, STEM Read. And I always get this confused. I always put STEM Reads. If you put in STEM Reads to Google, you'll get a totally different site. It has to be STEM Read. But this site is from the, I want to say it's Indiana, am I right? Oh no, Illinois, Northern Illinois University. I absolutely love this site. So at the top here, it has books. Elementary by alphabetical, then it has middle school books, and it has high school books. So you click on that, and there's the text that they have that they've created lessons for. Okay? There's the middle school ones, there's high school ones. So we'll pick Iggy Peck because we all know that one. So there's the book, tells you what the book is about, and this site has videos that go with it. This is the part I really, really, really love. So here's videos that the kids can watch and prep ahead of time. You can sign that ahead of time. This can be an independent center where they have their earphones and they just listen to that, and then they're all prepped up, ready to go when you go to get ready to do the actual lesson. So there's videos here. This is the author's website. She has really great resources on her site too. So the read, think questions, and as you go down, here's your lesson plans. There's more than one. So here's the Build a Bridge lesson plan, Interview a Classmate lesson plan, Construct a City lesson plan, there's a teacher's guide, but here's then the video discussion guide. So as they're watching these videos, they can do them in partners and they can have that discussion between each other. There's that speaking and listening standard, right? So these are really great things to be looking at, all done for you. And if you click on one of these, I probably should have done this one. Here's the standards. They are listed on here. The overview, this is so tiny, I should have brought my glasses, holy cow. There's your objectives, your materials, procedures, all done for you. And here's the rubric, which is nice. Have an assessment built in as well. Okay? Excellent, excellent resource. Now, since we have 3-5, you could be looking at some of the middle school books. Must have too many things open, it's taking forever. We could look at the middle school books, the one and only Ivan. If you click on that one, there are multiple lessons around the one and only Ivan. How many of you read that in your classroom? Yeah, quite a few. So this has more lessons than you could ever do while you're reading the book. But you look through them and pick and choose. I think I did print a few of them off. They might be at the back table when we explore here in a little bit. So these are really great ways, but then here's your videos as well. This one has more. If you are building your own STEM lessons, think about the video clips that we have on the Heartland online resources. Think about, going through YouTube, TeacherTube. Where are some other resources they could get video clips? Just the Heartland ones that probably, those are the safest ones, right? Yeah, then you don't have to worry about watching them ahead of time and looking for the ads, right? But those videos are really a nice addition to a STEM lesson. All right, then this one, I always call this the Overachievers page, the Buck Institute. Anybody ever use the Buck Institute resources? A lot of project-based learning? No? So the Buck Institute is kind of known for project-based learning, and I really love this template or this lesson framework that they have. And I say it's the Overachievers because it's very, very, very detailed. Project summary. I mean, anyone can pick this up and design a really great lesson. Think about all the pieces that you don't normally think about. Make sure it's very comprehensive. So I think it's 3 pages long. But that's a really great lesson plan to follow as well if you're thinking about designing your own STEM literacy project-based type lessons. All right. Reading Rockets, literacy and STEM resources. This one is another great one. Reading Rockets has lots of really good resources. I'm sure you've all been on that site before. But they have all these links. So they've gone through and found some of the best ones, and you can click on those and go through those. Gives you way more resources than you're probably ever going to use. Okay? We know Reading Rockets is a good resource. All right, so the Iowa State Role Model Activity List. I don't know how many of you know this exists other than the people that were with us on Friday. But this list is outstanding. And that same gal, is she part of this as well? No? So this list is great. You can go through it. It has the grade levels, and it's K through 12. Has grade levels. It has the category of the lesson, what subject it's about, how long it takes to do the lesson. And you can click on those. And if you hit advanced search, you can actually search for an exact thing you want. So I'm going to say I have 30 minutes, and I am a 3rd grade teacher, and I need something around math. What do you got for me? And there's 4 lessons already developed around physics and earth science, algebra and computation, just plain math. And there's one, who knows? Parent visit, I don't know what that even is. All lessons that are already done. So I'm going to do the physics and earth science one. And here's the air pressure and air pressure power background info. It's the keywords. All of these things are in there, all ready to go. So it's an excellent, excellent site to get really good ideas. But the advanced search is nice because if you go to the regular one, look at how many are on here. There's 81 to go through, and you don't want to click on all of them. So find what you're looking for and then just go through those. Marissa?
Yeah, I was going to mention, so these are a list of activities, but these ladies from the WISE program, which is Women in Science and Engineering, has anyone ever contacted them? Oh, have you had them come out yet, Nicole?
We go there.
Oh, you go there?
Yeah, but we are looking at them for some of our things this year.
Yeah, a couple of them, at least 2 of the women in science and engineering will come out to your school and actually do these lessons with students. So Ankeny had invited me to go out with some of them, and so we had, actually my practicum student and I had gone out a couple times. We did the armpit fudge lesson where they took some pudding and some milk and they put it in their armpit and they got it to change matter. They added coconut and some chocolate chips for hair and stubble. But it was a really fun activity. The 4th and 5th graders really enjoyed it. They talked about the states of matter. I think we could have beefed it up a little bit with books, but then I know some other examples of people have said that they've come out there and they've read books with them. So this is a list for you to use for lessons, but then also you can contact them and they will come to your school. Tyler, did you ask and see if they come out to Knoxville? So I'm not sure yet how far they will travel, but it's definitely something that, and it's free. It's college students who want experience in classrooms. They bring all the materials, and it's definitely something that you might want to take a look.
Yeah, and if your school, maybe if you don't, but Women in Science has a conference once a year, and I believe it's for 6th through 10th graders, I believe. And it's for girls, it's for females, it's not for men, but a lot of schools take their girls out to that to get the females interested in math and science and engineering. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful conference. I've taken my students there. I've taken my children there. It's a wonderful, wonderful day. If your school doesn't do it, you might talk to your junior high and high school and see about that, because it'd be great to have the gals come out and do the lesson with you in the 3-5 grades and then transition up there. Those engineering jobs are paying 6 figures. You know, I mean, as soon as the chicks figure that out when they're in 4th grade, the more they'll figure out they can get. My niece just graduated with an engineering degree, moved to Houston, Texas, and is making 6 figures right out of college. Just a 4-year college, not advanced degree. So, I mean, it's very worthwhile to get our students involved in those areas of employment. Okay, so this next one, any other questions about that? Great resource. Okay, this next one is a blog. It's a website. She has a Teachers Pay Teachers site, and it's Brooke Brown Teach Outside the Box. Anybody fans of Brooke Brown? Yep, some of you are here. So she has lots of things. If you look at STEM, she's got many pieces in here that you can use. On her blog, she has literacy, and since I'm literacy, that's the one I'm going to click on today, but you can click on whatever you want. So the top 10 read alouds for elementary STEM, hands-on guided reading through comprehension construction. This packet here, she's got a K3 one and a 4-5 one. We did the K3 one in a workshop on Friday, and we're going to do the 4-5, but we're going to do it 3-5 in, what, March? Yep. Is that what we decided? March 8th? Thank you. We already picked a date.
We haven't, but you can't find it yet. We haven't.
But it'll be there. I call this my Brooke Brown binder. I know the tech people are rolling their eyes because I've printed this, but I did because I write all over them, right? So she has some really great ideas. She has lots of good supply lists. She has all these things, but like anything you buy online or anything you purchase online, we want to be analyzing it and making sure it's what our purpose is for. So, I mean, this is just an example. So they're doing a plot diagram. I think this is the 4-5 one. Let me just make sure. Yes, so this is part of the 4th, 5th one that she has. So she's talking about the plot, the rising action, the climax, the falling action. All of those things are great things that we want to be teaching kids. What's wrong with this worksheet, right? It's just a worksheet. So this is where I call my friends and say, how can I make this a little more engaging? And they'll tell me seesaw, and the kids will have to explain themselves, and I can look at it later when I'm at home sitting in my lounge chair instead of at school. All sorts of really great ththings. The other thing I don't like about this is that it's very, look at all this wasted space, right? I want kids to be writing as much as possible. I can't write but 3-4 words because you know how our 3rd through 5th graders are. Heck, I can tell you high school kids are like this. They're going to write as big as they can so they don't have to write as much because you've only given them a little space. So although this is really great graphic organizer, make sure that you're getting everything you want out of that and not just giving them the worksheet. So we're really thinking about analyzing stuff that we get from Teachers Pay Teachers. There's some really great stuff out there. There's some stuff that's not so darn great. There's some stuff that we're teaching that isn't part of the standards. We don't need to be teaching it. So really be analyzing the things you get off the internet or of Teachers Pay Teachers. But she has some really great ones that I've either bought or I've gotten for free. If you sign up for her blog, she'll send you emails. She just sent one this week. I forget what it was about, though. You don't remember either? But she'll give you freebies as well. So if you get the freebie ones, then you can share it with everybody. Of course, you know, if you buy it, then it's only just for you, right? So sign up for those places that you really like. Get those freebie pieces to you, and she'll explain some of the stuff. She has pictures on when teachers use them, and she was great. If you reach out to her, she'll get back to you. Marissa's gone back and forth with her. You what?
I feel like I might be best friends with her.
Yeah, they're buddies. They're buddies. But that's a really great site, and there's lots of things over here. She's got STEM bins. She has maker mats. She has, that's where you got those, right? Those maker mats? Really great stuff that you can incorporate in your classroom. And then this last one, I know it says little bins for little hands, but I left it on here because of the one thing I really liked about it. And I didn't print it, but this here, the STEM design process, steps to success. We talked about the 5 E's in building a STEM. This one is just another way to think about it. So observe, see, I can't even read it. Observe, collect, imagine, plan, create, and improve. So that's how they kind of set up their lesson plan. So if you don't like the 5E one, this would be another one to do for designing your lessons. But this is for little hands, but I like their design. Okay, this is another site to find books, because that's the other problem we have, right? I can get really great ideas, but if I don't have the books in my classroom or in my library, where do I get them? How do I afford them? What books can I have? So this is a nice list. If you have these books, these are the winning titles from the National Science and Teachers Association, but these are the ones they suggest. So if you have a PTA that says, hey, we have books that we can buy, or money that we can buy you books, go to these sites, find the books that are the good ones that lots of people recommend, and say, this is the list of the books that I want, okay? I know we get that quite often where the PTA has got money to spend and they're buying pipe cleaners and I want books, right? So help them figure out how to spend their money. So this is a great one to go to. Discovery Education has a book list. Professional STEM, General STEM Thinking. So this one's set up really nice because it has the theme of each of these books. So this one's content focused. Some of these are professional books. Some of them are kids' books. Here's the young readers, informational ones, young readers series, young adult fiction and nonfiction. Again, a great place to get titles if you have money to spend or are looking for some books to get. This is a nice one too, that it has STEM books, but it also has differences. So cultural differences, those sorts of things. So this is a nice titles of books that you want to think about too, celebrating differences, but also including that STEM. The more we can get more stuff in one lesson, right, the better. And then we do have a list of Heartland STEM books. These are easy to find. You can call. I always tell people, you know, I go onto that Heartland website and I look through, and we have thousands and thousands of books, really good ones. And they're so great about, if I say, hey, I really want this book, they'll buy it and they'll have it on the shelf. I mean, they just do. So if you have books that you want, you know you can't afford, or nobody's giving you money for books, let us know. We'll find out if we have them here. If we don't, we'll try to get them in here for you so that you can check them out. That's what our job is here at Heartland too. So ask us for those things. Now, when I go through that list of all those books, there's so many, and I don't know the titles of all these books. I don't know if Beans to Chocolate is any good. I don't know if it suits my purpose. I just don't know these things. But our librarians know these books like the back of their hand. I can go out there and I can say, hey, help me with some STEM books. Oh, here's the ones I like. And they don't even look them up. They just walk to the shelves and start pulling off books. That's how well they know these books in our library. So instead of spending your time scrolling and scrolling through all these book titles, just call them up. Call them up and say, here, this is what I'm doing. This is my purpose. What do you have on your shelves that you could stick in a box and send to me that I can use with my kids? And they will more than happy be putting those boxes together, stick them on the van, and deliver them right to you in your building. It's way easier to call them up and tell them exactly what you want. You know how that works. If you verbally talk and have a conversation, you get more information than if you try to type it out in an email and say, this is what I need. Quite often they'll call me up and ask me, hey, this teacher's asking for this, and we're not sure what it is, and what do you think? And I try to help them out, or I tell them to just call the teacher up. But know that our librarians are being underutilized because they know these books really, really, really well. This is just a partial list of books that could work for you. All right. I don't even know what this one's from. Oh, this is from a library. So this is STEAM Kits, and this again has titles of books by focus area. So science, coding, building, math, programming, circuitry. Was the hour of code this week? Is it over? No. Friday? Oh, it's all week. So the hour of code is really a week of code. Okay, didn't know that. Anybody doing stuff for that? Yeah, fun. Okay, so here's another book list that if you have money to spend or you want some books, these are the ones. I mean, Marissa and I have said, here's a new book list, and they'll get them for us and stick them on the shelf. All right, we also have, and I don't have a list of this. Do you have a list of the ones that are professional STEM books? Because you brought some on Friday. What were those called?
You have a list. It's the other tab on the Heartland STEM books.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, did I not click that one?
Oh, there was one of the links has two tabs, and one's professionals and one is, it's in the Google Doc.
Last Friday.
Oh, you want to stick that link in for me?
Yep.
Marissa will stick a link in there that has, I think it's clickable too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So this one is, you can just read it, but the one she's going to include has clickable links, so you can go right to the page and order those if you want. But there's a tab for picture books, nonfiction books, and then a tab for professional books that you can look at from Heartland as well. Okay, so this lesson template is just blank. I have some paper ones back here too. This is just blank. You can see there's my literacy. I added in there. You can put this any way you want. I think we added at the bottom an extension. Yep, extension ideas. Heartland, of course I added the Heartland resources, library resources. But as you can see, I don't have the parent part on there. Oh, there it is too. Parent communication is right there. So I might not have all the pieces that you want on your lesson template, but build it to your satisfaction and add and subtract as you feel necessary to build these lesson plans. We are going to spend a little bit of time looking at all of those links that I shared with you, I do have some books back here from our library. Things to think about. It's always interesting to see the difference K2 to 3-5. So when I do these with K2 and we work with teachers, they're really great about coming up with ideas. K2, they really want to say, oh, everybody's going to have this same answer to the problem, but they can develop it any way they want. They still want to pigeonhole kids into one way of thinking because it's easier to maneuver 5-year-olds into one way. And if you have 10-year-olds, you can give them a little more leeway. So when they have what do you do with an idea and what do you do with a problem, they have a hard time figuring out what they can do with that. For 3-5, these books are great because now we're talking about theme, right? What's the theme of this book? And what's the theme of this book? And how do we solve problems? How can we solve problems? So our 3rd through 5th grade kids are much more adept to being able to talk about theme, and we got to make sure that we're making those connections. So it's not just, well, what's the problem in the book and how are we going to solve it? Maybe it's a theme, and where do we see those things in our world, and how can we solve the problems of our world? So then you think about design thinking then. So that's kind of the difference I see with K3 and 3-5 is when you get to those standards, what kind of bigger ideas can we think about when we're doing STEM than some of those easier ones and giving everybody the same piece. There are a few nonfiction books here. The book list is sitting here, and I thought I had printed some blank lesson plans. Maybe I'll find them. Oh, they're up here. Sorry. So I do have some blank lesson plan templates if you want to work as a team to get some books and try to build a lesson around those things. If you want to come up and look through the Brooke Brown binder, you certainly can. These comprehension construction toolkits, you can look through here and how they use those. The maker mats, I don't know if I have the maker mats here, but build a stories on here so you can look through this and see if these are some resources that you might be interested in. We have about 10 minutes that we're going to explore.
We actually are going to explore till 9:20.
Okay.
So this will be your time to look at the books. I also have Brooke Brown's maker mats, her very popular STEM bins, and then also I have the STEM family projects. So these are all my copies but you can look at these if there's something that you want to look at before you purchase. I also added a few links under Janelle's presentation. I added the Left Brain Craft Brain, which has some really great holiday STEM ideas, not just crafts. They were actually, engineering ideas. The Great Gingerbread House Challenge, which I thought was really interesting. They talk about perimeter area and space, and they're not just building a 4-square gingerbread house. It's like they had a floor plan, and these students had to create a 360 video, and I had to pitch it to the elf or to the gingerbread as to why he should buy their house and live in their house. So I thought it was a really good idea. And then the last one is the link that Janelle talked about, the student and professional books that we have at Heartland. If you've never checked out a book and you're maybe interested in checking out books here, our librarians are literally right outside the door, and they would love to create an account for you. Or maybe you've been locked out 5 times when I used to teach. That was me. I had to call every single time I wanted a book because I would lock myself out. They are extremely helpful. So since you're already here, if you want to just pop over and talk to them, they're over there. There was one more thing. Tyler shared from Zoom. Someone from Adair Casey has actually reached out to the WISE program to see how far they travel. And so Adair Casey is an hour and a half from Ames. They said they couldn't come out there for just one lesson, but if they wanted to set up multiple lessons, so maybe every classroom or a couple grades, they would. They just say they want to make it worth their while. So they don't really have a set radius. They just said worth their while. So, FYI. The agenda.
On the agenda.
Yes, I added them to the agenda.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any questions before we let you explore for Janelle?
If you don't know your reading consultant's name, get a hold of them. Go to the website, Heartland website, find out who that is, or ask your tech consultant who it is, and they'll partner with your literacy consultant as well.
Thank you. All right, we will go until 9:20 to explore, and then we'll take a break after that to set up for our next presenter.